What if the real reason most people never achieve wealth isn't luck, talent, or education, but lack of clarity? Napoleon Hill believed that success begins the moment you decide exactly what you want, not someday, not kind of, but with burning certainty. In a world full of distractions, vague goals, and borrowed dreams, definiteness of purpose is a rare superpower, and those who master it separate themselves from the crowd. In this video, you'll discover why clarity creates momentum, how purpose attracts opportunity, and how one clear decision can change the direction of your entire life. Watch till the end. This may redefine how you chase success forever. 1. What is definiteness of purpose? At its core, definiteness of purpose is the psychological and spiritual bedrock upon which any significant human achievement is built. Napoleon Hill, after decades of studying the most successful individuals of his era, concluded that this was the starting point of all achievement. It is far more than a simple New Year's resolution or a passing interest. It is the absolute, unwavering knowledge of what one seeks to accomplish, coupled with a burning desire to see that vision manifest in reality. While many people mistake a wish for a purpose, Hill was adamant that wishing is a passive act that requires no courage, whereas deciding is an active, definitive command given to the self. When you possess a definite purpose, you move from the realm of the spectator into the realm of the creator, transitioning from a life governed by chance to a life governed by choice. Most individuals spend their entire lives in a state of drifting, a term Hill used to describe the aimless, reactive existence of those who lack a central guiding star. Drifting is the habit of following the path of least resistance, allowing the opinions of others, the pressures of the economy, or the whims of emotion to dictate one's trajectory. Definiteness of purpose is the ultimate antidote to this condition. It acts as a mental compass that remains fixed on a specific destination, regardless of the storms that may arise. It requires an individual to perform a deep, often uncomfortable audit of their true desires, stripping away the expectations of parents, society, and peers to uncover the one thing they are truly willing to dedicate their life's energy toward. This clarity transforms the mind from a scattered flashlight into a concentrated laser beam. When a purpose is definite, the psychological landscape of the individual undergoes a radical shift. The hesitation that usually accompanies decision-making vanishes because the ultimate goal provides a pre-existing framework for every choice. If an opportunity aligns with the purpose, it is accepted. If it does not, it is rejected without the agony of indecision. This mental efficiency is one of the primary benefits of Hill's philosophy. By eliminating the mental friction of doubt and ambiguity, the individual preserves an enormous amount of cognitive energy that can then be channeled directly into productive action. You are no longer negotiating with yourself about whether to work or whether to try. The decision has already been made in the affirmative, leaving only the how to be discovered. Furthermore, definiteness of purpose is not merely a cognitive tool but an emotional anchor. It provides the why that makes any how bearable. In the absence of a clear objective, the inevitable hardships of life feel like senseless cruelty or bad luck. However, when viewed through the lens of a definite purpose, these same hardships are reframed as necessary lessons or equivalent seeds of benefit. This shift in perspective is what allows the high achiever to remain optimistic when others surrender. The purpose acts as a shield against the hypnotic rhythm of failure, ensuring that the mind remains focused on the eventual triumph rather than the temporary defeat. It is the difference between being a leaf blown by the wind and being the wind itself. To truly understand this concept, one must recognize that it requires a total commitment of the will. You cannot be semi-definite about a purpose. Just as a ship cannot sail to two ports simultaneously, the human mind cannot achieve greatness while divided between conflicting interests. This does not mean one cannot have multiple hobbies or responsibilities, but it does mean there must be one major definite purpose that takes precedence over all else. This hierarchy of values creates a sense of internal harmony. When your daily actions are in total alignment with your highest objective, you experience a state of flow and a deep sense of personal integrity. You are no longer at war with yourself because your heart, mind, and hands are all working toward the same singular end. 2. Why most people fail without it. The tragedy of the human experience is not that people fail to reach their goals, but that they never set them in the first place. Statistics often suggest that the vast majority of people, upwards of 95%, lack a specific written plan for their lives. This lack of direction is the primary cause of failure. Without a definite purpose, a person is like a ship without a rudder, at the mercy of every current and gust of wind. They may have a powerful engine, talent, and a full tank of fuel, energy, but they will eventually run aground or simply circle aimlessly until their resources are depleted. Failure in this sense is not a sudden event, but a slow, quiet erosion of potential caused by the absence of a target. A vague goal, such as "I want to be happy" or "I want to be successful," is essentially useless because it provides the mind with no specific instructions. The brain is a goal-seeking mechanism, but it requires precise data to function effectively. When the objective is blurry, the results are equally indistinct. This vagueness creates a vacuum that is quickly filled by distractions. In the modern age, where digital interruptions are constant, the person without a definite purpose is particularly vulnerable. Every notification, every new trend, and every social obligation feels like it might be important because there is no master plan to measure it against. Consequently, the drifter spends their most valuable asset, time, on trivialities that yield no long-term return. Fear and procrastination are the natural offspring of uncertainty. When you are unsure of your destination, your subconscious mind perceives any forward movement as a potential risk. This analytical paralysis keeps people frozen in their comfort zones. They tell themselves they are waiting for the right time or gathering more information, but in reality, they are simply hiding from the responsibility of choosing a path. Definiteness of purpose eliminates this hiding spot. By declaring a specific goal, you force yourself to confront the possibility of failure, but you also empower yourself to overcome it. Those who fail usually do so because they are more afraid of making a mistake than they are desirous of achieving a result. Moreover, without a definite purpose, people frequently confuse busyness with progress. It is entirely possible to work 80 hours a week and still be a failure if that work is not directed toward a specific, meaningful end. This is the trap of the efficient drifter, someone who performs tasks excellently but performs the wrong tasks. Napoleon Hill noted that many people exhaust themselves climbing the ladder of success, only to realize when they reach the top that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. Definiteness of purpose ensures that the wall is chosen first. It provides a filter for productivity, ensuring that every ounce of effort contributes to the construction of a predetermined masterpiece rather than a pile of unrelated bricks. The social cost of lacking a purpose is also significant. Humans are social creatures who tend to adopt the vibration of their environment. Without a strong internal sense of direction, an individual will inevitably be pulled into the purposes of others. They become a cog in someone else's machine, helping someone else realize their dreams while their own remain dormant. This leads to a midlife sense of resentment and quiet desperation. The person who fails for lack of purpose often blames the government, their boss, or their family, failing to realize that the thief of their success was their own refusal to take command of their mental faculties and decide exactly what they wanted from life. 3. Purpose activates the subconscious mind. The relationship between a definite purpose and the subconscious mind is perhaps the most mystical yet scientifically grounded aspect of Hill's philosophy. The subconscious mind does not reason. It simply accepts the orders given to it by the conscious mind and works tirelessly to execute them. When you occupy your thoughts with a definite purpose, you are essentially programming a biological supercomputer. This process, often referred to as auto-suggestion, creates a mental blueprint that the subconscious uses to shape your perception of reality. Suddenly, the world looks different because you are looking for different things. This is not a change in the external environment, but a change in the selective attention filters of the brain. Consider the reticular activating system, RAS, in the human brain. This bundle of nerves acts as a gatekeeper, filtering out the millions of bits of data we encounter daily and only allowing important information to reach our conscious awareness. When you define a purpose, you are telling your RAS what is important. If your purpose is to start a specific type of business, you will suddenly start noticing relevant articles, hearing conversations about that industry, and spotting potential partners in places you previously walked past. To the observer, this looks like luck or synchronicity. To the person with a definite purpose, it is the natural result of a mind that has been tuned to a specific frequency. Furthermore, the subconscious mind is the seat of intuition and creativity. When a problem arises that blocks the path to a definite purpose, the subconscious does not stop working when you go to sleep. It continues to churn through data, seeking solutions that the logical, conscious mind might miss. Many of history's greatest inventions and business strategies were delivered to their creators in moments of relaxation or sleep, but only after they had intensely focused on a definite objective. The purpose acts as a magnet that draws relevant ideas out of the ether of the subconscious. Without a clear target, these creative flashes have nowhere to land and are lost. Hill also suggested that a definite purpose, when backed by an obsession-level desire, connects the individual to what he called infinite intelligence. While this can be interpreted spiritually, it can also be seen as the collective wisdom of the human experience. When you are truly committed to a purpose, you tend to communicate that intensity through your body language, your tone of voice, and your overall vibe. This attracts other people who want to help you or who have the pieces of the puzzle you are missing. The subconscious mind projects an aura of certainty that is highly contagious. People are naturally drawn to those who know where they are going, and they will often go out of their way to provide resources or connections to someone with a visible, definite purpose. Ultimately, the activation of the subconscious mind transforms the pursuit of a goal from a struggle of willpower into a process of inevitability. Willpower is a finite resource that eventually runs out. However, once a purpose is deeply embedded in the subconscious, it becomes a habit. You no longer have to force yourself to work toward your goal. You feel an internal pull toward it. The subconscious mind begins to align your habits, your speech, and your self-image with the person you need to become to achieve your objective. You stop trying to be successful and start being the person for whom success is a natural outcome. This internal alignment is the secret engine behind every long-term achievement in human history. 4. Purpose demands persistence. Clarity of purpose is the fuel that keeps the engine of persistence running when the road gets steep. It is a fundamental law of nature that any significant endeavor will encounter resistance. Napoleon Hill observed that old man failure seems to take great delight in tripping up a person just when success is within reach. Most people, when faced with a significant setback, take it as a sign that they should quit. They interpret failure as a final verdict on their abilities. However, the person with a definite purpose views failure differently. To them, a setback is not a wall, but a hurdle, a temporary delay that requires a change in strategy, but never a change in destination. Persistence is not just trying hard. It is the ability to maintain the same level of intensity and enthusiasm despite discouraging circumstances. This level of grit is impossible to sustain without a definite why. If your goal is vague, or if you are only pursuing it for superficial reasons, you will inevitably fold under pressure. The weight of the world's no will eventually crush your maybe. But when your purpose is definite, when it is a part of your very identity, quitting feels like a form of self-annihilation. You persist because the alternative, giving up on your purpose, is more painful than the struggle of continuing. This makes you psychologically unstoppable in the truest sense of the word. History is replete with examples of individuals whose definite purpose allowed them to endure what seemed like impossible odds. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before perfecting the light bulb. Abraham Lincoln faced decades of political defeats before becoming president. J.K. Rowling was rejected by numerous publishers while living in poverty. What separated these individuals from the thousands who gave up? It was the absolute crystalline clarity of their objective. They didn't have a plan B because they were entirely consumed by plan A. This singular focus creates a psychological burning of the bridges where there is no retreat possible, only a forward march toward the goal. Persistence also requires a thick skin regarding the opinions of others. When you commit to a definite purpose, you will inevitably face critics, skeptics, and well-meaning friends who will tell you why your goal is impossible. Without a definite purpose, these voices can easily plant seeds of doubt that grow into a forest of hesitation. However, a person with a definite purpose has an internal validation system. They do not need the world to agree with them because they have already agreed with themselves. This mental immunity is a direct byproduct of clarity. The more certain you are of your path, the quieter the voices of the critics become in your mind. Finally, it is important to understand that persistence is a habit that can be developed. Each time you face a challenge and refuse to back down because of your purpose, your persistence muscle grows stronger. Hill pointed out that the test of persistence often comes just before the breakthrough. It is as if the universe requires a final proof of your commitment before it hands over the keys to the kingdom. By staying the course, you prove to yourself and to your subconscious that you are worthy of the prize. Definiteness of purpose provides the staying power necessary to outlast the competition and outwit the obstacles, turning the impossible into the accomplished. 5. How to develop definiteness of purpose. Developing a definite purpose is not a passive event. It is a rigorous engineering project for the soul. It begins with the honest question: what do I truly, deeply want out of this life? This is harder to answer than it sounds. We are buried under layers of social programming. To find your true purpose, you must sit in silence and ask yourself what you would do if money were no object, if failure were impossible, and if no one were watching. Once the what is identified, it must be translated into a written statement. Hill insisted on writing it down because the act of writing forces the vague thoughts of the mind into a concrete, physical form. A goal that is not written is merely a daydream. The written statement of purpose must be specific. It is not enough to say, "I want to be wealthy." You must state the exact amount of money down to the cent, or the exact position, or the specific impact you wish to have. Furthermore, you must set a deadline. A purpose without a date is just a wish that can be postponed indefinitely. Time-bounding your goal creates a healthy sense of urgency and prevents the drifting habit from re-emerging. This deadline serves as a focal point for your planning, allowing you to work backward from the future success to your present-day actions. It transforms a distant dream into a series of actionable steps. Equally important is the principle of exchange. You must decide exactly what you are willing to give in return for the achievement of your purpose. There is no such thing as something for nothing. Achievement requires an investment of time, energy, discipline, and often the sacrifice of lesser pleasures. By clearly stating what you will give, you are making a contract with yourself. This balances the desire with responsibility. If you want to be a world-class athlete, you must give up late nights and poor nutrition. If you want to build a business, you may have to give up your leisure time. Acknowledging this cost up front prevents the shock of reality from derailing your persistence later on. Once the statement is written, it must be impressed upon the mind through repetition. Hill recommended reading your statement aloud twice daily, once before bed and once upon waking. This is the practice of autosuggestion. By speaking the words, you are engaging multiple senses and signaling to your subconscious that this is the highest priority. As you read, you must visualize yourself already in possession of the goal. You must feel the emotions associated with the success. This emotionalization is the glue that sticks the purpose to the subconscious mind. Over time, this repetition creates a mental path that becomes easier and easier for your thoughts to follow. Finally, you must take immediate action. You do not wait for the perfect plan. You start with whatever plan you have, no matter how flawed, and refine it as you go. Definiteness of purpose is built through the feedback loop of action and adjustment. Every small step taken toward the goal reinforces the belief that the goal is possible. As you act, your confidence grows, and as your confidence grows, your vision becomes even clearer. This is a self-reinforcing cycle of achievement. Definiteness of purpose is the spark that starts the fire, but consistent action is the wood that keeps it burning. Would you like me to help you draft a specific, major definite purpose statement based on your current goals? Napoleon Hill taught that wealth begins in the mind, and definiteness of purpose is the foundation. When you stop drifting and start deciding, your life changes direction. Clarity replaces confusion, action replaces fear, progress replaces excuses. If you found value in this message, remember, success is not about doing many things. It's about doing the right thing with total commitment. Define your purpose, commit to it, and watch how the world begins to move in your favor.